Before I start, I want to try something with you. So everyone, please take a minute and try to think what is the most exciting thing that you're doing when you're developing something. The most exciting, exotic thing that you can think about it. Ready? How many of you thought about forms? No one? Come on. Forms are exciting. If you don't think forms are exciting, so get out, because I'm going to talk about forms. It's going to be boring. This is my new tattoo, and today I'm going to talk about reactive forms. So if you like, there is a booth outside. They will love to make you this kind of tattoo. But seriously, I don't have one. Few words about me, and we begin. So my name is Nir Kaufman. I'm a Google developer expert. I'm working with Angular at 500 Tech. I'm a worldwide speaker and community activist, which means I'm a part of the company that is, together with the community, behind this conference. And check out all of our great active meetup groups that are already up and running and alive. There is an NG SWAT this week, so if you like, get into the wait list and you won't expect accepted because there is no room for everyone. Ready to talk about forms? How many of you are using forms in Angular? All right, so let's talk about something else. Angular love forms. Actually, forms is sometimes the reason that companies choose to use Angular, because the forms are so powerful and easy to use. And not only Angular love forms, around the world, I'm traveling around the world, I brought you some pictures. This is the NG Form Festival in Japan, where everyone dress like the Angular logo, and it's a real picture, original, really. All right, don't believe me. This is the form control street in Italy. Okay, let's get started. Anyway, most of this session is going to be live coding. So let's watch a few slides. Quick overview about how forms are, how we generate forms, how we work with forms in Angular. And the goal of this session is hopefully that everyone will see that there was a big change in relation to forms in Angular 2, 4, 5, and above. So in Angular, it's all about a class named abstract control. And this class gets extended by 3 other classes. A form control that represents a single form element, and 2 data structures that holds form controls. So you can take a form control, and it doesn't matter if it's text, Boolean, checkbox, whatever. You can put it inside a map. This is the form group. And you can put it inside an array. This is the form array. And basically, this is the design of the reactive forms module in Angular. Nothing more. Those 3 classes, all of them inherit from abstract control, which means that if you learn what abstract control can do, you already know how to work with all the rest of Angular forms entities. Okay? Cool. Another slide. So everything is packed inside the reactive forms module. Currently in Angular, we've got 2 modules to work with forms. One of them is the forms module, and the other one is the reactive forms module. But probably you're going to use the reactive forms module because it's got more options, more API, and more flexibility. So don't use the other one. And don't try to mix them. Last slide before we begin. To create a form, it's simple and straightforward. It's your responsible to create a form control instance on your component class. Then you use a form control directive to bind this form control instance to your template, and then you get a form element. So this is the really, really high-level overview of the process. How many of you used AngularJS, Angular 1? Almost everyone here, yeah? Almost everyone here. So you already know what is directive and what is a template and what is data binding, so we can start. Ready? Let's do it. Can we take the lights off? Someone? Boys? Someone? Take the lights. Turn off the lights. Turn off the lights, please. Can everyone see the code? All right, cool. So right here, I've got a simple Angular application, just bootstrap with Angular CLI, nothing special, one app component, and I'm using WebStorm, so I'm going to use the WebStorm support of Angular CLI, and I'm going to create a new component that will hold our form. Let's call it the user form. And if I want to use forms in my application, I need to go to my app module or the relevant module and import the reactive forms module. Now I've got everything I need. Inside my app component, I'm going to use this newly created component, this user form component. So app is my prefix, app user form, and if I go back to the browser, we all can see that user form works. Done with the setup. Import the reactive forms module, you've got everything you need. All the components, services, whatever, all right? So, it was easy. Let's begin with the fun stuff. I'm going to split the screen. On the right side, you see the template. Left side, you see the component class. And Angular Reactive Forms is all about the code. The forms that we are building are code-driven. So I'm going to build the form inside my component class. The type of the form will be a form group, because it's a group of controls. Inside the constructor, I'm going to instantiate it, this user form, new form control, form group. Yep. This form group, which accepts a map, and here we can say we've got a name, which is a new form control, and I can just duplicate it to contain an email, and let's say a t-shirt size. Technically, we've got a working form. You can check it out if I create the submit method, let's say send, and just log this user form dot value. Go back to the browser and see nothing because I created the method and this send, okay? So as you can see, I've got an object which contains email name and size. All of them are null. I've got no user interface, but technically I've got a working form. And I can apply some validation on this form. I can play with those API that coming from those instances of form control and form group. And this is a lot of boilerplate code. So Angular give us a form builder with just a helper class. And I can write the same code, but without the new keyword. So now it's going to be a form builder.group. And we don't need all of those constructors. We can just say null if we want to. And that's it. So we got a form. Now we need to bind it to the template. Everyone okay up until now? Too fast, too slow? Perfect, cool. So let's create a form. I'm using a Bootstrap. So I'm going to use some CSS classes from Bootstrap, which got the same names, which is really nice. So a div with class form group. Let's create a label. This label will be for name, an input, type text, class, form control, and let's put some validation message. So the class will be form text. And here, validation message, okay? And see now you can note a very, very nice thing. You see that this is an Angular exception. WebStorm is fully support package named Angular Language Service. And right inside my template, I can see an Angular error because I created a form tag and didn't bind it to the form group instance. which is very nice. So I know that I need to use spatial directives with the same names and bind the form group to the user form on my class. So now it's just simple data binding form group to the user form instance. I can take this control. Let's see if it looks nice. Yes. And just duplicate it 2 times. This one for the email. And this one, let's make it a select. So don't care about name. It can be a form control. And let's put few options. Small, medium, and large. Small, medium, and large. Finally, 2 buttons, one to submit and one to reset the form. So button type can be submit. I can already bind it to my send method on the class, so I use the click and bind it to send. Yeah, let's do it in a better way. And another one. And another one for reset. Button, reset, just to make it pretty, class btn, btn, danger. So most of the code that I'm writing is actually on the HTML side. So it's got nothing to do with Angular. The only Angular thing is just a simple binding of the form element, the DOM form element, to the form group instance. Take a look at the class. And if I want to catch the submit event, I can use the spatial ng-submit event coming from the form and bind it to my send method. If I want to create a reset method, again, I can work directly with the instance with this user form and just call the reset method, and that's it. I'm almost done. The only thing I need to do is to register the controls, the form control element, register them with the same name I use inside this map. So for each input, I'm going to use the form control name and point it to the right place on the form group map. So this will be name, this one email, and last one right here on the select, size. If I've got everything right, so right now I can do like this. Blah, 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 blah. Medium, send, and you've got JSON ready to send to the server. Now, it's okay, it's okay. It's okay I told you that forms are exciting, so it's okay if you can't hold yourself and you feel like you need to, all right. Click, let's bind it to the reset. Let's see if everything works, blah, 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 blah. Let's reset. Okay, we've got a form. Let's move forward to the more interesting parts. Let's talk about validation. So if I want to validate the name, I can make this an array, use a built-in class called validators, use the required, and now my name is required. If I want to see some visual representation of this required, let's try to do something. Let's create a getter for my name because I want to pull this name out of the user form map. So I'm going to return this user form, get me the name as form control. And I can create another one for the email. Please give me the email. And the only reason I created those getters is for make my template binding much easier. So right now we can go directly to the name, which is here. And let's take this validation and just say ng if name is invalid. And that's it. Text danger. So right now you see the validation message and I put something, it disappears. Because again, it's that easy. I can just use ng if. Once you created a form control, you can track the control state. You can know if it's valid, invalid, dirty, pristine, touched, untouched, whatever you like. This is a set of booleans. You can just use them in your template with ng if to show or hide validation message. Cool? Right. But that's not enough. Angular for free, just like AngularJS, will put dynamically CSS classes that represent the control state. So I can go directly to my styles and say that each input, which is ng invalid, I want the background color to be red. No, background color will be disaster. Border color to be red. And now the border color will be red and, okay? Easy. If you want to create custom validations, just like this class who has a static method required, and if I jump into the source code, you see it's just a class with some static methods, and that's it. No magic, nothing special, no special directive, no need to require the ng model, validator, so all this fun. I just need to create a class, a simple class. So I'll go back to the code, I'll create a class. I'm very lazy, so I'm creating a class with Angular CLI. Let's call it custom, because it will hold custom validations. And back to my class. If you want to write custom validation, you just need to create a static method. Static method, let's call it unique. This method will get the form control. And if everything is valid, you should return null. And if something is not valid, like if, let's say, the control that value, maybe we create like a quick database which holds nir@nir.com. And let's say that if db index of control value is not -1, so return. I've got the feeling of an error somewhere. Can you spot it? Another parenthesis. Where? Where it is? Aha. Right? Where it is? Cool. If db index of the control value this control value, yep. So this is a validation error. I should return an object that say that this is not unique, or use some kind of boolean, unique, false. And this is how a custom validator looks like. Just a class with some static methods, and that's it. And if you want to use it, just use it inside the form group. Let's see how it works. So here, I can go to my email and say, I want to use my custom class and the unique method. That's it. Let's see if it's working. Currently, unique method, email, nir@nir.com will be a validation error. As you can see, now it's red. Okay? So it's that simple. Very simple, don't you think so? Without all these required directives, that's it. But let's say this is a real-world application and I want to actually go to the server and create an async method that check in the database if this email is unique and then return the valid state. So you can keep this functionality as is. The only thing I'm going to do is instead of returning this, I'm going to return a new promise. So instead of returning just the value, I'm returning a new promise. I'm going to set a timeout to simulate a trip to the server. Here I'm going to put my logic. Let's say it will take us, I don't know, like 4 seconds, okay? And instead of return, I'm going to resolve this value or resolve null. So take this validation method, just return and promise, and now you've got an async validation method. And the only thing you need to do is just to move it here because the first array will be sync validators, and now I don't have any sync validators, and the next array will be async validators. So take a look at this. Now inside my email I can say validation in process and if this email is pending. So let's see if it works. Validation in process, because now I'm going to the server and wait, nir@nir.com, validation in process. Oh, it came back, it didn't, oh, it's invalid. So you've got set of booleans. Come on. I'm not a part of Angular core, but I really think it's much more easier than it used to be. All right, but this is not cool enough because I don't want to use require in my code. I don't want to use this. I don't want to put my validation classes over here. I want to use validations in a more natural way. So I'm going to remove this required from the name, and I'm just going to use required right here, just in regular HTML. And Angular know how to work with this. So it will work exactly the same, which is much more easier. But now, I'm greedy. I want to create my own validation directive. I want to put the unique here and make it work. So let's see how I can do this. I want to create a directive named unique. Let's start with the directive. So again, go back to the file system. Let's create directive. Let's call this directive unique. Now I can already put it here. This is my email, so let's use app unique. I've got a directive, and inside my directive, I'm going to do this. I'm going to take all the code from here, but I don't want the async version for now. I'll take the sync version of it. Where is my unique directive? Right here. And I'm going to implement an interface named validator, because I want this directive to be a validator. And TypeScript make it really easy, because all you need to do is just implement this interface. So if I go here and say implement methods, the validate, you can see I need to implement a validate method, which accepts a control and returns a validation errors or any, just like before. And here I can paste this. Oh, I forgot my database. I can paste the same logic right here. Something went wrong. Yeah, it's a class. I can put it. And there is no resolve. There is return. And they call it seek. And return now. So what I did just now, I took the same logic and just put it inside a directive. Now I need to register this directive as part of Angular core validators. So I'm going to create a providers array. And right here, I'm going to use spatial key to extend Angular, ng validators. And I'm going to say that I'm going to register this class. I'm going to provide under this key, ng validators. I'm going to use an existing class, which is the unique directive class. And I'm going to use this keyword multi-true because I'm adding it to already exist validators. So this is the part that you need to learn, how to register this directive as part of the ng validators. But as you can see, I've got an error. Typo here, existing. Yeah, but this code won't work because of hoisting. I will try to use this class, but this class was declared here. So I'm going to use a helper function from Angular call named forward ref that will help me to use this class even if it was declared later time. So let me do this. Use the forward ref. So I created a directive, implement the validator method, and register it as part of ng validators. Now right here in my template, I just use the app unique, and if everything is fine, nir@nir.com. All right, but we need to make sure. I have a feeling that my async validator is still here. Let's move it away. Okay, so nir@nir.com, it's a validation error. So just a directive, put the logic there, register it as part of Angular directives, and you're done. Now, the code stay very simple. Use directive, use simple data binding, nothing special. And I've got like 7 minutes left. Where is Boris? Where is... No one in charge. I can talk. No, really, I've got 7 minutes, so I let you choose. I can take those 7 minutes and try by speed live coding, take all of this select size and create a custom form control, or we can just summarize everything. Who wants to let me try in 5 minutes implement? All right, let's go for it. So this form becoming very large form, I want to break it into pieces. I want to encapsulate this size inside the custom component. So I'm going to create a component. Let's call this component, not size. Let's create a component. Let's call this component size component. So now, instead of this chunk of this form group label name and all this blah, 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 I want to replace it with app. Yeah, we need to make sure it's synchronized. I want to replace this with app. Where is it? Where is my size component? Here it is, app size. App size. So I want to replace this with app size. And I want to create a component that can hook inside the form system. So I want to create a custom component and use it like it was just an input, which means register it with the form control name. And that's it. And I want to control it from my form, just like before. Okay? So we understand the challenge? Cool. 5 minutes. App size. Let's go inside of app size. Let's take this bootstrap button group. Copy. I put it here. It's part of my template. I create a div with the class form group and put all of these buttons inside. Let's see how it looks like. Great. I've got left, middle, and right. And let's try to implement it. So first of all, I'm going to create size, type of string. I'm going to create getters and setters for it. Let's do getters and setters for size. And I'm going to create a set size method which accepts a size and this size equals size. Okay? What? Inside my code, I've got those buttons. I'm going to do this. 4 minutes. Cool. Every time you click a button, I'm going to do two things. Call the set size, and let's say this one will be small. So set size small, and large, medium, and last one, small. Small, large. Large. All right? Large. And if we want CSS to be dynamic, I can bind to the clear CSS active like this and do some nasty stuff like active if size equals, in this case, small. So small, medium, and 3 minutes, 3 minutes. Where is this? Where? Here it is. Yeah? Fine? All right. Let's see if it's working. Yeah, the CSS is working, nothing else. Okay, so we've got a simple component, custom component, which set of buttons. We can change the size. I've got 2 minutes. Let's see if I can make it a custom ng control. So again, I need to implement an interface. This interface called value control value accessor. So this is the interface you need to implement. So I'm going to do this, implement methods, and here you see I've got 4 methods I need to implement, so the form system can communicate with me. Most of them are really straightforward. Boris, I've got just 2 minutes, or can I get 2 more minutes? All right, let's try to do it in 2 minutes. So write value. When you pass me a value, this size will equals the value that you just gave me, this object. This is register on change, which means that the form system will provide me an on change function. Let's initialize it with nothing. And when you provide me this on change method, I'm going to set my on change function to this function. And that's it. Register on touch and disable. I'm not care about disable and touch right now. And each time you set the size, I'm going to use the this on change function that you gave me, not this register on change, this on, I know I've got a typo, this on change function passing this size. Okay? In other words, I just implemented a simple interface. So you can write values to me with the set write value, and you can register an onChange function. I will call it. So a minute left. Just like before, I need to register this custom component as part of ng value accessors. So I'm going to create a providers array. I'm going to provide under this name. I'm going to use existing, yeah? No S, where? Egg? Come on. We'll do it again. I've got few seconds left. I'm going to use the forward ref. Yeah, I know. Few seconds, that's it. And I'm going to return my size component right here, okay? And just let's fix this provide. The use existing is okay? Existing? Yep. And finally, multi-true. And if everything went all right, the grand finale, upsize, from control name size, let's see if I can put here Nir I don't want validation error, so Hotmail and Medium, send, and everything works fine. Anyway, we are going to eat, so final words, Angular love forms, and if all of you love Angular, Angular will love you back, which means that all of us love forms. Go to eat something. See you later. Thank you.